Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Tonight we've got another match of the Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando Tournament 2025. This is Swiss Round Run. We've got Knucks versus TrailZ. I'm Star, and joining me on comms tonight is Zelda. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited to kick off the tournament this week. We got some good races so far, some good races yet to go. We got TrailZ versus Knucks. TrailZ, of course, our current standard champion, and looking to bring down a second trophy for the year. And I'm not that familiar with Knucks, but it should still be a good race. Anything can happen at Max right now.
Yeah, for sure. Knucks has been around a couple of years, I want to say, I think. We've seen him around a few different places. I know I've seen him in other randos. I say LTDPR is one of them, but I'll be honest, I've also not done anything remotely Z2R related in about 2 months, so apologies for the D-Rust, everyone, tonight.
Yeah, happy not tax season anymore.
For those who aren't aware, I am a U.S. tax accountant, and well, if you look at the date, you know what I've been doing for the past 4.5 months.
Now we just get to hang out and watch some Zelda.
Should be fun here. We're gonna start the runners off, and we'll be going shortly.
People who I was going to say, for people who haven't watched, this is Max Rando. I know this is the start of the tournament this week, so we're going to be looking for all sorts of random starting stuff, random victory conditions, random overworlds, random palaces. You name it, it's been randomized.
Yep. How many lives will we start with? How many hearts? How many anything else? Who knows?
Yeah, and starting lives, I think a thing people underestimate how much of an impact it can have between 2 and 5. And I tell you what, 2 and 5 feel very different.
Yes. 3 being, of course, vanilla, 2 being you die, you've got 1 wiggle room. We've got 4 tonight, which is kind of nice. And 8 heart containers. Good grief, as well as jump, life, and reflect. Glove. Okay. Up stab, down stab. I think we have removed spell items on. And that's a 2-gemmer.
Yeah, we're starting with water and the kid because we have the spells from those 2 towns. So
fair enough. But okay, game. We're not dying tonight, I guess, is the conclusion.
No, my race yesterday was 1 heart, 2 lives, and here we've got 8 hearts, 4 lives. So some good safety for both of our runners, as they've got a very unfortunate vanilla, depending on how you like to think of it, vanilla shuffle overworld. This is one of my favorite things on Max Rando. That we've got the normal overworld structure, but where everything is has been swapped around. And for people who haven't played it, it is not easy. It's a bit of a wild trip, as we have yet again Vanilla Shuffle Death Mountain. Oh boy.
Okay. We've got a hammer block cave here, or town, so we're not getting in there. Our runners might be hoping that it's our Rauru, perhaps, given that we started this with a spell from there.
Yeah, the most notable thing to know about Vanilla Shuffle having both Death Mountain and the West Vanilla Shuffle is that because they're not randomized, their connectors will always be vanilla. So we will have 2 connector caves and a bridge here on the West. And likewise, because Death Mountain is Vanilla Shuffle, both of those caves will lead to Death Mountain. So we will need a raft to progress in this seed.
Speaking of the raft, I think that's what I see just south of start here for our runners.
Yeah, that could be the raft tile, or it could be one of the bridges.
That is also true, because Vanilla Shuffled is a little bit quirky as it goes.
Yeah, there's a couple of bridges that are just normal tiles, and you can walk on and off of them, and they don't matter. However, one of the bridges is the bridge tile that connects together sort of in the south central area of Vanilla. And because in Vanilla, that's technically a paired set of tiles that takes you from one side of the bridge to the other. In Vanilla Shuffle, that specific bridge takes you from somewhere to somewhere else. It is a connector.
Yep.
And I believe TrailZ is on that bridge. You can identify the west side of it from. You have both enemies and some spawners here.
Mm-hmm. We do have a P4 here for Knucks, kind of up near the southern end of Parappa Cave, what is Vanilla Jump Cave.
Okay, so TrailZ has found the actual raft tile.
Yep,
so it is like accessible to them. Unfortunately, most of the west will not be accessible to them right now, as
we got a hammer blocked. We have a hammer blocked palace there too, and yes, we need a hammer too. It looks like to progress across most of this vanilla shuffled west. Ugh,
yeah, words. And we're rapidly approaching. It's frequently the case that the hammer is sort of the key of a vanilla shuffle west, but we're rapidly approaching the point where there's nothing left to explore here, and our runners might need to go into DM for that hammer.
Or it could be here for TrailZ, finding another one of our item caves.
Yep, something's going to be here. 150 points for an orange Dyra. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Slight surprise TrailZ took life 3. I would be prioritizing the attack and magic levels a little bit here, given that we kind of have a stupid amount of health. That's a pair of boots.
Well, TrailZ got the pair of boots early. I believe that is the raft for this right TrailZ is using.
Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, they started with boots. Brain.
So no Death Mountain today. Very sad.
No, we're off to the... Well, not yet. We still might need it, but we're off to the east first.
I mean, I'd appreciate some ability. Unfortunately, because we know that Death Mountain can't have any other connectors.
Oh dear.
Yep. So this is one change that is different from last year's Max Rando. We are playing on the Chaos climate. The terrain is all funky and messed up and changes very frequently.
Yep, Chaos climate here. I see. We were talking about this before, and we do have a volcanic east with the Risen P-Bag Cave for TrailZ here.
Yep, very nice. And thankfully, TrailZ has basically all of the life in the world to bop his way through these dark caves. Yeah, with only 2 gems requirements. And starting with the glove, you're in an interesting position where our runners are still definitely going to need either fairy or magic key to put palaces and logic. And then beyond that, how much stuff you want to get to go into GP is kind of how risky you're feeling. Thunderbird may or may not be required. They've got both stabs. They've got a glove. But Fairy Spell might be required. There's a lot of maybes and mights in Max Rando, and you never really know until you go in there.
Yeah, one thing at least we don't have to worry about as much in this seed compared to a lot of low gemmers is that we do start with L8 hearts and 4 lives, so health is not as much of a problem as it often tends to be in low gem seeds.
Yeah, low gems means low experience a lot of the time, but I don't think that's going to be an issue with how much health they have.
Yeah,
well, not just
water
health,
tile spotted for TrailZ. Go ahead, sorry.
The lives are also a bunch of magic, right? Like, if you have a low magic and you can't cast very, very many times, every life is another free refill of your magic capacities. So they've got lots of health, lots of magic. Should be no problem.
Well, regular key on the water tile. We're going to have a lot of junk in the item pool this seed because we started with all 8 heart containers. Spell items are removed. That's a nice magic jar. And we started with both glove and boots. So there's a lot of removed items from this item pool today. There's going to be quite a lot of junk.
Yep. And thankfully, junk in the form of keys or P-bags are going to be welcomed by our runners given the low resources. And it looks like Knucks might be having some issues with his NES.
Maybe. Oh, Boots was in Magic Container Cave, right? But yeah, they basically started with Boots, so. But point to the item pool. But yeah, Knucks does have NES issues. He's currently trying to reboot it. This is an issue with Knucks' NES. To anyone with flashing light sensitivities, please do not look at Knucks' screen for the moment. That's the magic chart for TrailZ. And we're back for Knucks.
Okay, looks like that. Unfortunately, he hadn't saved, so that's going to reset him. Fortunately, he knows where everything is, so it's not going to take very much for him to get back to where he was.
No. Much of this, they're less than 10 minutes in. Most of the early game is exploration, but he is going to have to get some levels back. Again, not the worst, given we do kind of have hilarious amounts of health, but it is a bit of a time loss for Knucks here.
Yeah, TrailZ made at least one attempt to do link feet there. This is a thing that I forget who. Somebody made a tutorial for recently, and some of the more experienced runners have been practicing trying to get better at potentially being able to do link feet. It was Chroma who did the tutorial. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, TrailZ gave it one attempt, and he's just gonna do encounter skips here because he doesn't have the fairy spell, and we're gonna see what's in this volcano and does it connect anywhere. We have Palace Shuffle on, so this could be any palace.
Yeah, the thing is, as you were talking about earlier, with Vanilla Shuffled West and DM, I think we have to be able to get to the other side to find the bridge somewhere to get to the east.
Oh, that's a good point. In because the two connectors here are bridge and raft, they have to be on opposite sides of the volcano. And as usual, we've got reconstructed palaces, so we're going to have random layouts. We've also got palaces continue after the boss turned on, so we may see some post-boss exploration.
Chad asking a question in chat if there's a reroll clause in terms of in case of major technical issues. They're fairly rare in Z2R as compared to, say, OTR, for instance, so we don't have a set clause. It's more or less a gentleman's agreement, and Knucks, it's up to Knucks to comment on that, which he's gotten it sorted, so we're just going to keep going.
We got a life spell cast from TrailZ. Oh, it's 1 bar. I was curious how much it was.
I was about to say, chat said earlier that it was 1 bar, and eek. Yeah, not great. It's at least not a 2-heart seed, but it's definitely... but yeah, not the most useful.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. When you have 8 hearts, you don't really need the life spell to be good. And when you're really low on hearts, you also don't need the life spell to be good because it's not really going to do much anyway. But it's sort of on the medium levels of hearts where you really feel bad life spell being bad.
Yep. And Grandma being nice today, unfortunately just the 1-up.
Yep. And
I think it was fire here, although I'm not 100% sure. Chat can confirm or deny that.
It shouldn't be a spell. Okay, I say it shouldn't be fire because welcome back to Max Rando. We've got dash.
Right.
I absolutely love the dash spell.
Da-na-na-na. And spell is 73, which we can cast here at Magic 3, so we'll be able to get the second item out of the spell tower.
Shoutouts to everyone who submitted community text to be used by the wizards. If you have any suggestions for community text, go ahead and pop on into the Discord and let us know.
Yep. And
more junk.
150. As mentioned earlier,
junk.
there is a lot of junk in the pool. It's a good thing that we started with the glove, to be honest, because otherwise, trying to find any key item in this scene is going to be a needle in a haystack hunt.
Yeah, Knucks has already caught back up to TrailZ on experience, just going back and regathering these items.
Yeah, the scene's been, I think, moderately okay with experience. Nothing huge, but I have seen some 150 and 300 point P-back, so it's not been too terrible.
Yeah, with P-back Shuffle on, we definitely have the possibility for some big ones, but...
And that is fire in Old Kasuto. It's random as to fire or dash.
Oh, it's random. Okay. Again, I'm irresponsible. I did not actually read the flags.
Alright, and... What is that?
I found out what the flags were during my race yesterday. I did not look them up. But yeah, okay,
I'm not even sure why Knucks bothered reading the sign into Runia. We started the spell from it, and the same thing for TrailZ. We started the spell from that.
Yep. Yeah, good point by VT Slacker in chat. That is fire without an exclamation point, meaning that it is not linked to anything. It's just regular old fire spell. Oh,
I didn't know that. Good point. Good catch. There's the bridge and the desert tie along with our other palace here. At this point, I think our runners really want to figure out where GP's at.
Yeah, you only need to do 2 palaces to do GP, but you do actually need to find it. And if it's on the east or on the maze, then okay, you don't really have to worry about it. If it's in the west, you're gonna need a hammer.
Yeah, and I think that's right now what our runners want to do is see if they can find GP to know how hard they need to go dig for items, because Hammer using DM as a pass-through, which, speaking of, that's where Knucks is gone.
DM as a pass-through seems awful. I hate it. I love it.
It would suck. 300 point P-back for TrailZ.
Yeah, it is definitely a possibility. I mean, we could still have the trolliest thing that could possibly happen, as always, which is the hammer in Hammer Cave.
Oh, absolutely. Would suck. Yeah, so let's see. Alright, we've got a very free palace on Maze Island, which is nice. And on the downside, it's, I'm not sure TrailZ actually hit the statue, but if he did hit it, that's P5.
Yeah, either way, it's not GP, and that is a unfortunate sign, because I believe that means it is for sure on the west.
We saw P1, P3, or 6 on the east.
So we have one more East Palace then.
Which might be on... I'm not sure if we saw the other one. What is that for TrailZ?
It's a trophy.
Okay. Right, we didn't start with that one. We know the other... Actually, that reminds me. We saw a hint on King's Tomb a while ago that Hammer's in the maze, so the other item's gotta... So it's gotta be around here somewhere.
Chadbird, unfortunately, I do not have a VOD for my race, so... No vodcast available. I usually remember to make a local, and I forgot to this time.
I was about to say, yeah, useful to keep recordings of your races. Just stuff happens. Let's just put it that way.
Yep. It's the first tournament of a race of a tournament. You forget. Yep.
Ooh, and Knucks gets railroaded, dead-ended in DM. Vanilla Shuffle DM basically functions like DM did in the old days of 3.0, where you got to play, take a guess as to which cave you want to take and hope it's the right one.
Spoiler alert, also... it's the wrong one. It's always wrong. Every cave is wrong. You'll be in there for 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So, Knucks is having fun with that, and TrailZ, I believe, should have just found his hammer. Right. And Knucks actually, made it down here, and there's the hammer for TrailZ, or in his case, that's an axe, because he's playing with the Castlevania sprite.
Either way, it'll take out those rocks and open up the west. Though not necessarily immediately find his way to GP, because there are some islands, and boots don't work on that water. I want a free item right away for TrailZ in this palace.
Yep. And he's also, and this is not the worst play. P2 and P5 can be quite long, but he's here already for starters. Not sure what that is.
That's some medicine.
Neat. But P2 and P5 can normally be kind of long, but with palaces continuing after the boss can be earlier than it would be on average otherwise, so not the worst idea to go digging here for whatever boss this is. Again, I'm actually not sure that TrailZ hit the statue, so I'm not quite sure that this is P5.
Yeah, even if it is a P5, with how limited experience is going to be, some extra experience from a longer palace isn't unwanted.
Mm-hmm. And Guma can be earlier just because of palaces continue after the boss, so...
Yeah, as far as Knucks' decision to do DM, ordinarily I would dislike this decision, but when you feel like you're behind because, technical issues or anything, even just you feel like you're behind because you're facing TrailZ, a gamble like this can be a good thing to do, because if this does turn out to be required for something, then you can be way ahead, and also, it's keeping him up in experience, so...
And TrailZ decides, screw that, to the Maze Island Palace.
Yeah, he's got a hammer now, so I think he's excited to go out and check these towns, check extra stuff that he can in the west.
And we have immediate Rando here, which just had a shield in it, not the most useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be picking up that shield spell, because we know TrailZ has a trophy, but he's the champ for a reason. Not going to spend any time that he doesn't need to.
Especially not in a 2-gem seed with a absolute ton of health. Like, yeah. TrailZ can beat the game on his current levels, if he really wanted to. It might suck a bit, but he can do it.
Yeah, right? You just don't get hit.
And our runners are definitely autopiloting into checking every town side, even though they started with with 3 spells. Because I think that's the 3rd town TrailZ has done it in. Where he checked the sign for the town he'd already gotten he started the spell out of. Whereas I don't know how that works. It's by the position on the spell list. It's Rauru, Rudo, Saria, Mido, Naburu, Darunia, New Kasudu, and Old Kasudu on the spell list order. So.
Yeah, and that is always true in this flag set.
P bag here for TrailZ. How we're getting to Parappa Desert is going to be interesting in this seed. Because it's not Vanilla Parappa Cave, that's obvious enough.
Yeah, how to get to Parappa Desert and how to get to the island that Vanilla P3 is on are always interesting questions.
Yep.
They may or may not contain something important. Up to and including may or may not contain GP.
Exactly, because the way Vanilla Shuffled works is basically it shuffles all the landmarks, all the major unique encounter tiles you can get on the continent. Trophy Cave is in fact a cave and does have, well, let's see what's in here.
Yeah, Knucks found... Oh no, he was just in P4. I was going to say, I thought he found the way through Death Mountain, but he just left to go check P4. And we should see him check the raft tiles shortly, hopefully.
He was on the east earlier. I think he's going back there now.
He's going back there. Okay.
TrailZ has just found I think that's the any key. Yep, very nice find for him.
Yep, that's going to put palaces into logic, and we're going to see him go do them. And having started with Reflect, he's chosen P4 to be his first palace victim.
It is pretty much right next to Start, and yeah, start with Reflect, no real reason not to do so. We did see Knucks go in a minute ago. Unfortunately, it looks like the place is key blocked, so Knucks did leave fairly quickly.
Yeah, he had a key, but there are many more doors available.
I want to get a second look at the east here for Knucks, because I was kind of failing palace counting earlier. I know we saw at least 2 palaces. I think it was either 3 or 6 in the crater, and P1 was on the other side. I'm not sure if we saw the third, but I do remember seeing Spectacle Rock. We know we've seen P4 and a hammer-blocked cave, and a hammer-blocked palace at the, what is Vanilla Heart Container Cave, I think, on the west. Magic Jar here in P4 for TrailZ.
Yeah, smart little thing there, TrailZ. Casting Reflect to take that enemy out in expectation of getting this magic container.
Mm-hmm. And yep, as usual, this room is not 100% hard-coded to fall in on itself, but I swear it always does.
Yeah, the way that it works is the Rando, at least in Reconstructed, it puts down a bunch of rooms, and then once it's done that, it shuffles a bunch of the connections around in the same way that Vanilla Shuffle works. And the code that makes drop columns work doesn't happen with that item room. And so the only way that room cannot drop into itself is if you also have another drop somewhere else in the palace, and then when the shuffling happened, the shuffling mixed them back up.
Mm-hmm.
But there just aren't as many drop rooms as there are other types of rooms, so you just don't see it very often.
Nope. It feels like at least that room drops in on itself about like 95% of the time or higher.
Yeah, it's probably in the 90s of percents.
Yeah, Karak here for TrailZ will be his first gem. Knucks had to, I think, was on the verge of a game over or something maybe, was not having a good time with the Valley of Death at any rate, so he's now going for another try at the Valley of Death here.
TrailZ casting life to recover that one bar just to give himself a little bit of safety, but
Which does remind me... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying he gets the double level at least on this, so he should be at a pretty reasonable rate going into GP.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did just notice is that we're also still missing Fairy. We've started with 2 of the 4 spells on the east, and we've since found the other 2. We've found Rauru and Rudo on the west. We don't have Saria or Mido, and I think both of those are somewhere. I wonder if one of them might be the northern side of Jump Cave, because TrailZ didn't walk over there.
Yeah, at this point, the likelihood is Saria is also one of our connectors to either the desert or the Vanilla P3 island, because Saria still has 2 different points on the map, but they are no longer, at least a Vanilla Shuffle, not guaranteed to be next to each other. They can take... Oh, there's a palace sighting. So there is a palace up in the Parappa Desert.
Yeah, there is a palace in the Parappa Desert, which might be GP, but again, I'm really badly derusting today. Apologies, and there's also been quite a few things going on. There's the other side of our hammer or DM connector, so that's unfortunately not very useful. But there's 2 more spots over here on the left for TrailZ. We've got Vanilla Rudo and the Vanilla top of Jump Cave. Vanilla Rudo is, in fact, backside of Saria, which has Thunder in it. Oh, I forgot Thunder, so Thunder and Fairy, our last 2 remaining spells, is kind of rude.
Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, there's the last palace, and it is GP.
Which is GP, okay.
Okay, so TrailZ not interested in trying to dig anything out. I suspect we're just going to see him clear the closest palace and then beeline for GP at this point, and just hope. I know that's kind of TrailZ' style of play fast.
Or nope, TrailZ is going to take a wander over down here, which we haven't seen yet. Go pick up Fairy. Mido at the Vanilla Raft spot.
Okay, I'm wrong. Trail's just going to play it safe.
I think perhaps going into GP without either Thunder or Fairy might be a little too risky. But nobody's seen Bagu's. I don't recall seeing Bagu's Woods, the Bagu himself anywhere particular, but we also don't need it at this point. TrailZ is guaranteed to be able to beat 2 gems and beat GP. It might take a while, but he is in go mode, actually, I just realized.
Yeah, it is notable that Bagu definitely has a lot more value if you roll Vanilla Shuffle, but not going to be needed today. TrailZ not even interested in the 2 or 3 seconds it would take him to pick up a candle.
Not in the slightest, nope. I'm not really sure what TrailZ is doing down here at this point. Hoping to find the way to the last palace on the west, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it could be here, but again, on Vanilla Shuffle, you could definitely get things where you have to go all the way through a jump cave, and then it takes you to another area, and then that requires you to go all the way through Fairy Cave, and that takes you to another area, and then you have to go through Saria, and it can just be long to get to places sometimes in the West in Vanilla Shuffle, so looks like he may just decide to head east and do a palace there, or not. Every time I try to predict hit TrailZ, I'm wrong.
He's going to go back to Saria and see if the others see if that dumps him in Parappa, I guess, which is not a terrible chance it dumps him on Parappa, but the other chance is it dumps him on the island, which would be fairly useless. But if this dumps him on the other side of dumps him in Parappa and he can just walk over to the palace there, that would save him time over going back to the east.
Okay, so Knucks cleared out P1, even though he wouldn't be able to place the gem. But he wanted to see if the boss reward item was a key, which is smart play. It doesn't take very much time, and if it was a key, you can get that palace cleared for free, but unfortunately, it was not the case, so no out-of-logic palace clear for him.
Nope, he is in P2, though. Yeah, well, he's marketed as P2, and I'm going to assume he did, in fact, hit the statue earlier, because we never confirmed it for TrailZ.
Alright, so Thunder, Reflect, and Fairy for TrailZ. He's got up and down stab. He's got a glove. That's Vanilla P3 Island, but no palace there.
Nope, so up A TrailZ goes, and I think he's back to the east.
Every time we say he's back to the east, we're wrong.
Nope. He is going to go look for... He is looking for Parappa.
Yeah.
This should
take him there.
This is good for Knucks. He's on Maze Island. He most likely at least needs to dig this P5 out here to get his medicine. We know it's in like the first room, so it'll be an Atlock's Fairy, which it may not be required, we're not sure yet, but would be very useful, especially because Knucks does not have the any key, which I've kind of forgotten where that was. And TrailZ has found Parappa here.
Yeah, unfortunately this bridge, whenever a location that can be a pass-through replaces a spot that is a pass-through, then it remains a pass-through. So TrailZ is required to walk through, or at least fairy feet through that bridge.
And we've got 1 of 3 or 6. I know we saw the other one at some point, but I can't remember which one it was, or if we found out even which one it was.
We did not. This still remains a questionable 3 or 6.
But he's here, he spent all this time looking for it, so he's just gonna go clear it.
Yeah, might as well. You're here.
He is physically capable of clearing it. He has the full inventory of everything he could possibly need to beat this place. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and at 4, 4, 5, 7 magic containers, 8 life, TrailZ gonna have no problem with the combat difficulty. Oh, and this is definitely a thing that's true of these palaces where palaces continue after the boss, because the boss is allowed to be in the middle of the palace instead of at the end. You do get some palaces that are on the shorter side as far as the number of rooms you need to clear.
Mm-hmm. Very, very quick Barba here for TrailZ. I was gonna say that Knucks is kind of routing Maze on like the most unfortunate order possible. He's finding his items in like the last 2 places he checks, basically. And I'm not sure how you missed the hammer. I think it was up north somewhere, but
yeah, TrailZ was very aggressive fighting Barba, and then backed off at the end because he didn't want to fall into the lava, and gets a nice experience roll to get a double level here too. So 4, 5, 6 is going to be his GP levels,
which isn't too bad for him. Knucks has found his medicine, which is good because we know that lacks fairy. Well, no, that's his hammer. Never mind, I'm thinking of mixing things up. Hammer is required to get everywhere on the west, which he definitely needs to do. Brain.
I think technically, the way things are laid out here, you could beat the seed without hammer. Just because the only section that contains... I guess you wouldn't be able to get fairy. But you could get from the southern section to the northern section via DM.
I guess, because I'd forgotten that, right, DM dumps out this way, but it would be quite the slog. And...
Oh yeah, for sure.
Was any key on this side of... I'm never sure we ever saw Bug. Was any key on this side of things? I forget, but, well.
I don't remember.
Me neither. It's... A lot of things are going on, and it's been a... Well... It's been a slightly confusing seed to follow for me.
Yeah, but here we are in GP. Worth noting that long GP is maybe on. So this could be a very short GP or an extremely long GP. Also, yep, Thunderbird, not required. Well, not definitely required.
Potentially required, but depends on whether or not GP puts him on the way.
Yeah, Thunderbird's room in this flag set is just like any other room in GP. Maybe you need to go through it, maybe you don't.
Yep. Waffle room here to start with a blue chicken in it, and then just a rope in the back, which isn't the worst. And unfortunately, Knucks did leave... Oh, that's what I was getting confused on. I was thinking medicine was on the Maze Island overworld, and no medicine is in the palace on Maze Island, just P5. So Knucks is short of medicine for fairy, which might be an issue.
Yeah, I wish I remembered where the any key was.
Somewhere on the west, according to my notes, but my notes are kind of terrible today, so that's not saying much.
Well, if it is somewhere on the west, Knucks is likely to find it soon.
Might be here, but I honestly don't remember. Nope, magic jar. Shields that I know.
Oh boy. Vertical bubble room, my favorite.
Ah, fun.
The vertical bubbles are terrifying. They hit like trucks, and no amount of life levels will save you.
Nope.
TrailZ accidentally breaking slightly too many blocks, but doesn't matter with jump spell. And this has been a really linear GP so far.
has not much in the way of options here. Emoji room for trails. With more vertical dots in it.
And linear GP is a little unfortunate for Knucks, because definitely the thing that he would need to be able to catch up is a really obnoxious trolley GP.
On the plus side, I think this might be the any key here for Knucks.
Yeah, I think it kind of has to be at this point. I'm running out of item locations to guess.
Because I did write down the items in the order we found them in, and he just found a small key before this, which was the last item I wrote down before the any key on the west, so that's something. Double chicken here for trails.
Yeah, he did lose his first life of this palace, but got plenty.
Yeah, not a huge concern, at least for now. Did anyone catch how much fairy costs for him?
Not well enough to remember.
Catching it.
I knew at some point, and my brain stopped working.
Yeah, I am not firing on all cylinders at the moment, so... Also, I don't know about you, but I keep getting distracted by Knucks' stream. Chat can't see it.
The falling, yeah.
As TrailZ has just found T-Bird. But yeah, Knucks has a animation of Link falling and then the game over screen, which is incredibly distracting.
Yeah. So interesting. I don't remember if there even was a fork at any point in this palace. This Thunderbird may be required.
It might be, yeah. I'm not completely sure either.
TrailZ has been on this linear path for so long. Also, attack 4 looking kind of crappy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing much.
Thankfully, he can absorb quite a few hits before going down. So, as always, slow and steady, usually the best way to take Thunderbird.
For sure here, and you don't want to take too many risks in a 2-gemmer where the seed was reasonably not horrid. Not especially jetty, but not particularly awful as 2-gemmers go. You have to assume your opponent's right behind you.
Oh, for sure. Max Rando definitely produces a lot of upsets just because of how many things can happen. You're always still in it.
Absolutely. But in general, in a 2-gemmer, it's a reasonably good shot your opponent's found his way into GP by the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, usually. Stranger
Although
things have
not
happened,
always
for
the
sure.
case, as we see here for Knucks, but there is a decent chance. Oh, and all that for a dead end.
That whole path was nothing.
So there was definitely a fork at some point. The question is, where was that fork?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't remember there being a fork.
But there must clearly have been one somewhere, because otherwise, something's got interesting.
Yeah, so Thunder not required. And yeah, with Thunder and Fairy looking not required, it technically means the hammer wasn't required either, because the any key was available via DM technically.
It just would have really sucked.
Yeah, I mean it really sucks that the vanilla shuffle Death Mountain always sucks. Okay, here there was a left here, but also in the sense that when you go into vanilla shuffle Death Mountain, you have no idea how much it sucks. Right?
Exactly.
You could take one cave and end up where you need to be, or you could check 30 caves and not have gone where you want.
Yep, because as I mentioned earlier, it's cave roulette, basically.
There are ways to speed it up. Because that's the way Death Mountain used to always work. Angry Larry's tracker actually has a mode that's used for tracking Death Mountain connections. And if you're good at knowing which left sides go with which right sides, you can actually get a lot of routing information by remembering and mapping out all of the different pairs of caves that you've seen. But it's a skill that some old school runners have, and a lot of newer runners, and even a lot of the old school runners just have lost it, because who on earth would want to go do that?
We have been on 4.0 for 4.5 years now, just about, so yeah. Not a quite top of the priority list to keep track of at this point.
Yeah, I gotta say, I do remember the old days, and in no way remember what any of the pairs are. If you ask me to do it, I will just wander around Vanilla Shuffle DM like anybody else.
I think one of the first things I can remember of you is of you getting thoroughly lost in Vanilla Shuffle DM in Max Rando, or not Vanilla Shuffle, but in what is now Vanilla Shuffle DM, what was back then just DM in like standard 2020.
Oh yeah, it's it's a thing. You know what? It's a thing I've done more than once. So.
Yeah, it was one of the good old classic you versus Zarnax matchups.
Oh yeah, Zarnax also not a stranger to getting lost in DMs, let me tell you.
I mean, anyone who's ever played this Rando has gotten lost in DM, or, well, this game really, because vanilla DM's just as bad.
Yeah, there was a famous Zarnax race that I remember where he got so lost in DM, he started taking screenshots and put them together into a collage and built, in the middle of the race, built a map of DM and drew on it all the connections.
Honestly, not the worst idea.
I mean, I've seen races before where both runners took over 20 minutes to find the way through DM, and I'm sure at that point, both runners have to feel like they're way, way behind, but they both finished DM within like 5 or 6 seconds of each other.
Yeah, I think that happened during that first race I watched of yours versus Zarnax.
It's Vanilla Shuffle DM is cruel to everybody. What's worth knowing, and this is a skill that I encourage people to do at least a little bit of practice on, and I don't think this flag set can have it. Although, to be fair, I'm the least reliable person to ask about the flag set, but learning how to do vanilla DM with shuffled connectors can put you into some weird spaces sometimes. Actually knowing how the vanilla map of DM works, it's a thing that got me for a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, TrailZ is 100%ing this GP. He's had a couple of forks, and both forks have not only been dead ends, but really long paths leading to a dead end.
Yeah. Around P6 there for a bit and then left, it looks like.
Yeah, I think Knucks is looking for some palaces that maybe aren't as long as P6, and maybe TrailZ taking it up once again. We're going to see where else this GP can take us. It's definitely looking like we rolled a long GP. I think the length range on long GP is 51 to 57 rooms. And TrailZ is just gonna check all of them. This is just what it is.
I think so. That's just how the seat's going.
Yeah, so Knucks going back through the volcano, looking for... Probably just going to do the palaces that are over on this side, which I think is reasonable. I think P1 is here, and do some quicker palaces.
It's already found Helmet Head, or not Helmet Head, Horse Head earlier, so it's just going to be a matter of getting back there to place the gem, and then...
Yeah. It wasn't very far into the palace either, so...
Yeah, and I think P2 is nearby. He's also got P3 marked as being in the volcano, so he could do that.
Okay, so yeah, this is TrailZ. This is the second fork TrailZ had found, and he's going up here because I think he had gone left before. So I think this is going to be new territory for him. And of course, what would new territory be without another fork?
Of course, this definitely rolled low GP, and ouch on that game over for Knucks.
Ooh, yeah, all the way back to North Palace. Okay, so TrailZ has now found himself solidly. He ended a linear portion of GP over. Giant forking mess is my new best friend. Oh god, there's a drop. Oh, you don't want to take that. I mean, it could be the right way, but that drop can take you anywhere. And TrailZ, I think, wisely going to check every other path that he could take instead of taking the drop.
For sure. Promptly finding a dead end on the right here.
Yeah. I'm sure what he's hoping for is immediate dead end on the left, and then he can know, oh, okay, I can take the drop without feeling bad.
Yeah.
Or Dark Link, right? That'd be a nice one.
Or that would be nice. And nope, left into a paperclip room with a spicy chicken in it. And that's a death. Wham.
Yeah, thankfully still 3 lives left. I was gonna say Fairy is definitely the easiest way to do this, but he didn't have the magic before. Death makes it no problem now.
Yeah, that which reminds me, now that I'm looking at it, Fairy has cost him a little over 3.5 bars of magic, which is expensive. I think he actually cannot cast it twice on one life, because whatever it is, it's more than 56. It's like 57, 58 maybe? It's slightly over 3.5 bars.
Yeah. If not for the any key, that expensive of a Fairy even at Magic 5 can be frustrating, but less of an issue with the any key.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of issues,
58.
This room stinks.
It does. And confirmed 58. I'm not... for all that my Z2 knowledge is rusty as heck, I can do math. I've been doing not much of anything other than math lately.
I, on the other hand, am fundamentally incapable of doing even the most basic arithmetic. I will pull out a calculator for single-digit calculations. Though, to be fair, they're usually hexadecimal single-digit calculations. And, you don't want to screw those up.
Yeah, hexadecimal is a whole other story there.
Yeah.
TrailZ managed to get through this nasty room just to find a dead end on the other side of it, so back he goes.
We're taking the drop, I think. I think we've ruled out all the other paths. We're gonna drop.
Yeah, as soon as we can get out of this room, that is, because he's having a bad time of it. Yeesh.
Yeah, the bubble's burning away not only his health but his magic.
Mm-hmm. Managed to make it out, but not easy, and this room's not making it any easier.
Yeah, drops are a gamble in our standard GPs, and these giant GPs that are like a turbo gamble. But they can take you anywhere, right? It can take you directly to Dark Lake, or it can take you all the way back to the beginning. Who knows?
Absolutely.
In standard Thunderbird required GPs, a drop before Thunderbird will always take you before Thunderbird, but a drop after Thunderbird could take you anywhere. But here in Thunderbird not required, any drop can take you to any drop exit room. And so, unless they're right next to the start of the palace, you really don't want to be playing around with it.
Mm-hmm.
But Knucks has completed his P1 that he killed Horsehead on earlier, so we're going to see him. Oh, it's probably... Yeah. Okay, so I was going to say he's probably going to do that remaining palace. I think that was P5, so yeah, I think he's going to go to the maze and do this palace.
No, I thought that was P2 there, and this is P5, but it might have it entirely backwards, to be honest.
Well, whichever palace it is, this is the one he's doing.
It does have the medicine in it, which he probably would like because that locks fairy. So this is... he doesn't know it, but this is the better of the plays to do, because the medicine is right here.
Yeah, also completely free, just literally in the first room.
Yep.
TrailZ's reward, more waffles.
More waffles and more chickens.
Yeah, definitely with enemy shuffle and mix large and small on, the waffle rooms could be extremely chicken dense and very deadly.
Oh, for sure.
And TrailZ taking some hits here. I think he's still got 2 lives left, maybe only 1. But he's definitely going to slow down a little bit and take it safe through the rest of this room.
Yeah. Knucks taking a look in at the Maze Island Palace and deciding he really didn't want to commit to it. TrailZ is ferrying through a hard ferry blocked room, so it's a really good thing Knucks got at least the medicine out of that Maze Island Palace.
Yeah, that could be... doing stuff like gambling GP without ferry is pretty common for Max Rando. And if you did it here, that's got to be heartbreaking.
Especially after getting this far, because we're pretty far in GP at this point for TrailZ. As I say that...
Even in long GP, there can't be that many more rooms.
I was just gonna say, as I say that, more rooms! Okay, here's... okay, this is Helmet Net, and it was P5 on the maze. So I wasn't completely wrong about that. Yeah, GP has a serious chicken infestation today, too.
Yeah, and not just a chicken infestation, a lot of blues, the deadliest kind of chicken.
Mm-hmm. The TrailZ also took I think 2 different deaths to the same spicy chicken a little bit back. And we are still going!
If TrailZ takes a game over here, this path back is going to be so long. Thank goodness this is a 4 lives, 8 heart container seed.
Oh yeah, this would be even more miserable without... And that's a game over.
Bubbles, settle it, folks.
Bubbles got TrailZ there. Yowp.
And I hate to say it, this is maybe a spot where TrailZ is regretting potentially not having picked up the shield spell when he was in that town. But it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. On the other side, Knucks is, despite having just gotten the medicine, is not going to take the time to walk over to Mito, which we know is going to be a bit of... Or maybe he just forgot which one Mito is. He Meadows on the southern is on the other side of the map a bit. But
Knucks
does need Fairy, because I think that Fairy blocked room TrailZ took was the only way is required.
I think that route is required. I think Fairy is required. And it thankfully, it looks like he's going to go get it. Because, again, I think gambling on not needing Fairy is a very reasonable play to make here. And it turns out it's just absolutely the wrong one.
Yep. Yeah, Knucks took. I think Knucks just slightly lost track of which town is where, because Mido is on the raft spot, which is right there. But man, this is just such a slog of a GP. TrailZ got in here at like the 35-minute mark, 37-minute mark, and he's been in here for more than 20 minutes at this point, at any rate. And he is still going.
Even if he goes as fast as he could, it's going to be at least 5 minutes before he's done.
Correct, because this is such a long path back to where he game overed.
It's long, and it's very this GP is just very linear. There aren't that many forks you can take, and where there are forks, they're very quick dead ends. So you just have to go through a lot of rooms no matter what.
Knucks on the other side has picked up his Fairy spell, so he is in go mode. I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up Thunder on his way to GP, because it's right next to it, basically. And TrailZ losing the 50-50 on the Red Jar Chicken game, and just takes the death to refill his magic.
Yeah, he's gonna get his magic refilled one way or the other.
And this is just rude that Fairy is 2 points too expensive to cast twice. It's 58. If it was 56, they'd be able to cast it twice, but no such luck. Game's rude.
Worth noting, TrailZ got 150 points for killing that orange bird right there, and that was the first enemy he had killed this entire GP. He's doing a really good job of just avoiding combat as much as possible so he could go fast.
Oh, for sure. Thunder picked up for Knucks. We know that's not required, but it makes perfect sense for him to go get it, considering it's pretty much right next to GP here. And happy 1 hour, everyone.
Yeah, I gotta say, coming into this, starting with this much stuff on a 2-gemmer, over an hour was not a thing on my bingo card.
Me neither, to be honest, but this GP really has done TrailZ, has been in here for quite a while. Again, I think he got in at like 35-minute mark, maybe it was for 37, but he has now finally found GP, having spent the better part of 35 minutes in here.
He was 1 room away from Darklink when he took that game over.
I'm not surprised, given how much of GP we'd seen by that point, but ouch.
I mean, at least he's got plenty of extra lives for safety of this Darklink. Shouldn't be a problem for him to finish it up here. Though maybe not on this life.
No comment here, but I do not commentate to curse it, so that is GG's to TrailZ, taking the seed with a time of 101.51.
Yeah, GG's. That TrailZ keeping his head, not getting angry that whole GP. I would be very frustrated.
Oh yeah, for sure here. Knucks, just getting into GP now. We'll see what route he takes, because this was kind of a miserable mess to navigate.
Yeah, good news is if he gambles on lefts, it'll save him a lot of time. because it'll keep him away from Thunderbird, and the left at this first fork, I think, is a big one.
Yeah, Knucks knows that Knucks has to feel behind, even aside from the early tech issues. Had a lot of trouble with game overs and deaths, and knows that getting into GP after the hour mark, he hasn't said anything at race time room, but even just in general, it's over the hour mark. He just got into GP. It's a 2-gemmer against TrailZ. You know you're behind.
Yeah.
There's like no way you don't feel behind in this position, basically.
Yeah, but at this point, you play your own race and you try to get the clear. I think anyone who plays the seed and manages to complete it is a winner in my book. This was not an easy one, even at 4 lives, 8 hearts.
Oh man, this GP! Can you imagine this GP on lower than that?
I can imagine we'd be here for another half an hour.
Probably.
Even for someone like TrailZ, you have to fundamentally change the way you play GP in a situation like that. You have to be very, very safe, find strategies that will work for rooms that don't have any chance of you getting hit, and then just work your way through it slowly and methodically.
And we are now joined by TrailZ.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you.
Hey, that one was a bit of a mess at the end.
Yeah, no, I did the whole GP, and then I had to and then I died just before Dark Link. I saw every single dead end in that Great Palace.
Yeah, that was 100%. There were no remaining forks.
Yeah, it's just terrible luck there. So how far behind him was, or how far behind me was him?
He got into GP right as you finished, basically.
Oh, okay. So he hasn't even found Thunderbird yet.
No. Knucks had to restart his Wii at one point, like costing maybe a minute or two, and then just took a lot of game overs on this overworld.
Yeah, GPs like that are like always they kind of scare me a little bit, because it's like someone could just go left and walk right into Dark Link,
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, especially here, there were. I laughed early. Would have saved a bunch of time not having to do Thunderbird and stuff, but you had a good lead coming in, thankfully.
Yeah, how long did it take for him to get to Maze Island and all that stuff?
Late. Well, he cleared the 2 items from Maze Island on his first trip there, but he took a lot longer to get the medicine out of it because he didn't touch the palace at all that first trip, which is unfortunate because the medicine was the first room in there.
Yeah, I went in there. I think I wasn't even for the item. I went in there specifically to get like a level up or see if the boss was really fast. And then I found the medicine and was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, and combined with the hammer and that was on the maze, which he had the hint for, Maze Island basically put you in go mode, TrailZ.
Yeah, I was kind of like, man, yeah, because that was all sub 20. And I was kind of like, I wonder if I should have taken Death Mountain. I wonder if there was a faster way, but it didn't look like there was a cave that linked to Maze Island. But in my mind, I was thinking when I was on the east, I was like, man, if he went Death Mountain and that was the way to get to Maze Island, I'm screwed here.
No, with Vanilla Shuffled West and Vanilla Shuffled DM, they had to link to each other by the caves.
Okay.
And Knucks has understandably got whacked by chickens and called it quits. GG's.
GG's, Knucks.
Not bad considering my NES crapped out on me like 10 minutes in.
Yeah, that cost you a couple minutes there. Didn't cost you the raise at least, but that did not help.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough seed, man. I mean, I got lucky and just like cleared out the west, found the raft, immediately sailed east, walked through Valley of Death, and found Maze Island pretty quickly. I had all the items I needed for go mode in under 20 minutes, but GP, I saw every last room of GP.
Yeah, you got in there. I forget if it was 35 minutes or 37 minutes TrailZ, but you spent close to half an hour in it, basically.
Yeah, I killed Thunderbird and everything.
So I take it Thunder wasn't required then?
Nope.
Nah.
Fairy was, though. Hard required fairy block room on the way to Dark Link.
Oh, great. Glad I went and got it after all then.
Yeah. I don't know how much it cost for you, Knucks, but one of the fun things that was interesting was that Fairy was really, really expensive there, even at Magic 5 for you, Trail, so it was 58 there. 2 points too expensive to cast twice on 7 Magic Jars, which wasn't helping anything there.
66 at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a expensive fairy spell. Was fire even linked to anything? I cast it a couple times. I didn't feel like I saw it linked to anything.
Oh, on random fire, you can.
Oh, okay.
If you have with random fire spell on the town sign, if it's regular fire, it just says fire, and if it's linked fire, has fire exclamation point. So that's
okay.
You can tell that up front from the sign. Just a little hint for people in the tournament or just general runners.
Hey, I'm a veteran, and I didn't even know that, so I'm learning new stuff about this game every day.
I
I
think
knew
that's
that.
a new
I just
addition.
didn't pay attention to the sign.
It's a newer edition. It's I think sometime in 4.3 or 4.2 or something like that. But yeah, just helpful to help you see what's going on.
Yeah, it's a welcome addition because there's been a bunch of times where I've casted fire and been like, huh? You know? But I have noticed the exclamation point from time to time on the sign, but I didn't notice that it was taken away if it was not linked with anything. So it's a cool little addition you did there. But yeah. Anybody know how this tournament's gonna work? Like, I know we're in the Swiss brackets or the Swiss rounds, and I know that it's a fairly small tournament. There's only 16 of us. What is that, like almost just a third of what was in the standard tournament?
Yeah, it's a pretty small tournament. I think with 16 we're still doing 5 rounds, if I remember. I don't know. I'd have to check the tournament document. I don't want to spread any misinformation.
I just went and pulled it up because I'd forgotten my head.
4 rounds.
Actually,
Alan's
myself.
in chat. Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. Alan, our tournament admin, thanks again as always for your work. Yeah, 4 rounds of Swiss. Then everyone will go into single limb brackets, which will be best of 3, except for grand finals, which will be best of 5. At least 16 people makes for really neat numbers.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. TrailZ looking forward to seeing you in the finals, like always.
Yeah, there's some stiff competition. I'm surprised Mariah hasn't entered a tournament, but like Grammaticalism's in it.
SMB3.
Oh yeah.
There's plenty of former tournament champions in the tournament who could take this one down, and there's always a chance with some of the newer runners could as well. So.
Absolutely.
Max
Rando is Max Rando after all. This seed was a little rough for you, Knucks, there with all the game overs and everything, but they can also see a lot of variance, like especially like we were Eleanor and I were thinking this would be a fairly quick one. We saw 8 hearts, 4 lives, 2 gems. Huh, okay.
Started with the glove too.
Like a truck.
Yeah. Sorry, what next?
Except everything hits like a truck.
Yeah, that was the problem, this seed.
Yeah, so I must have gotten really lucky. What was that? The medicine was linked to a fairy spell, I guess.
Yep.
And yeah, that was hard required. I just stuck my head in there to finish off the level, I think. See if I could find an easy gem to place. But that's crazy.
Yeah, you both ended up getting fairy, but if I think it would have been totally reasonable to go into GP without fairy the way the seed was set up, and that fairy block was really deep into GP. It would have been absolutely awful to find out that far in that you need to go out and get fairy.
Ooh, yeah.
I think that happened to Mariah in the standard tournament too, didn't it?
I don't remember. I don't know if I saw that one.
I remember it.
I don't remember either.
I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a Rudo had fire, or not fire, had fairy blocked by the trophy, and after clearing the entire west, the very last item, or maybe it was the very first item that you found on the east through the pass-through was the trophy. And as soon as I did that, I up and aid, and he was in go fast mode, which is understandable. There's a lot of times where fairy's not required, but I went back and got the fairy spell, and it turned out to be the winning play.
Yeah, and I figured with this everything that happened to me, the only chance I had was if Thunder was required, and TrailZ dipped GP without Thunder and had to come out.
Yeah, man. I mean, I ended up getting Thunder, and doing Thunder, but man, these types of seeds really kind of scare me because I'm looking at the clock. It's a 2-gem seed. It's over 60 minutes in, and I died the room before Dark Link. And this is after I've done the entire palace, so I'm like, I know Dark Link is, 1 or 2 rooms after that, so I'm like having a heart attack, walking back, looking at the race room, seeing if waiting to get sniped, But anyways, guys, I gotta get ready for work. I gotta leave for work in a few hours, and I still haven't even eaten dinner yet. But GG's Knucks.
Yep, GG's.
We may run into each other again in a tournament. Until then, good luck further on, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yep, same to you.
GG. Do you have any last comments, Knucks or Eleanor, before I take us out of here?
Nope, I'm good.
No, I'm good. GG's again to both runners, and look forward to the next race.
Thanks for putting us on.
Yeah, absolutely, GG. So good luck to both our runners in future rounds of Swiss here and then brackets. Thanks to everyone in chat for watching. Please give both of our runners a follow here, Knucks and TrailZ, as well as thank you to Eleanor for joining me on the commentary. And thank you to VT Slacker for doing our tracking tonight. Coming up ahead on the ZSR schedule here, we've got a whole bunch more things coming up this week. Tomorrow, we've got a Majora's Mask Randomizer Mystery Tournament Season 2 match group banker between Skygoro and Nasho. We've also got a Breath of the Wild 90% tournament match between Epic and Arna, some Wind Waker Mini Blends matches, and some more Skyward Sword Rando as well. Quite a lot happening here, so keep an eye out for all of that. The next Z2R match on the schedule looks to be this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern between Patrick and TH, so keep an eye out for that. Channel TBD, because our Saturday schedule is bonkers, but we'll see if we can fit it in somewhere on the ZSR schedule. Keep an eye out for that, and more races throughout the week. For now, though, thank you for watching, everyone. We're going to go over and say hi to Strizer, who is doing a little charity marathon for Game Over Cancer. They're currently on a Sonic 1 Forever speedrun, so we'll see how that's going. Thanks for watching all, and have a good night.